People don't want to know that you've done some similar activity to them. What they want to know is that you're an expert in your field, that this call is going to improve their situation and understanding of their problems, and you're going to help them out, and it's not going to cost a lot, and it's going to happen quickly, and with great certainty. If they choose to work with you, you're going to deliver on what you say you know how to do. That's what they came to the call for, not to discuss the weather or motorcycles or service. This is really the problem with most corporate presentations and I see. Here's the features of our product. We're #1 SaaS software that provides accounting plugins that can reduce your IRS obligation and catch errors in your tax filing. Microsoft uses us, Oracle uses us, Intuit uses us, GE uses us. So here's all our logo. Here's the benefits you get from working with us, and we have the best customer service, and here's how much it is. So when that happens in the first 5 minutes, the pitch, the presentation, the sale is over. The buyer has all the information he needs to make a decision. He doesn't need you anymore. Let me just say this in a limited amount of time.
Okay.
Most people do this backwards. They go solution, problem. The mind doesn't explore ideas that way. We want to know about the problem and then hear about the solution. The second we hear about the solution, we want to know how much it costs. If you don't give the information to the other person, fast, visual, narrative format, high contrast, right? Then what the crocodile brain does, it just filters out and ignores. The other thing, if it's not novel. So the neocortex has an instruction set that it gives to the crocodile brain. It says, if I have already solved this problem, don't give it to me again. If I see 100 pitches in the next 30 days, they'll all start like this. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate the time today. We're excited about meeting you guys. We prepared this presentation for the last couple of weeks. We really hope you decide to go with us. And if you do, we'll bend over backwards. You see at our company, the customer is always first. You can contact me on the weekend. I've got my pager. I'll give you my grandma's number. Sometimes over at the lake house, I'll tell you how to reach us there, or you can fax me and we'll be very responsive. And we're really excited about working with you. So this does a million things wrong. It's supplicating and it's needy, right? And that's how we start. Lower our status, let the buyer know, this is an option. Once I know your price and your features, I put you in a box and then go look for other ones that are cheaper or better or free. Pitching is when you do a lot of work to go in, get the meeting. The meetings I go to sometimes take 6 months to get. We might spend $50,000 preparing for it. We walk in the door, and as you said, in 5 minutes, they have a good sense of whether they want to buy it. In 10 minutes, they've got past the 50% judgment mark. Within 20 minutes, they know. So that's a pitch. It's high stakes. It takes a lot of preparation. It's binary. It's yes or no, and you leave there, sort of conqueror or conquered. When you go to Bank of America for a $100 million loan to build a project, right? You pitch them your project, your financials, your background, all of that, and then they say yes or no. If they say no, they say get out and don't come back. You pitch them, they said no. If you come back again, they go, what are you doing here? We already said no. You go, oh, we revised it a little bit. No, we took a pass. Pitching is when you go in, it's one bite at the apple. Right. One shot, one kill. Lick the bullet, pull the trigger. It needs to find a home. So ultimately, the great pitch is not something that you wing. It's a performance that you know and are confident in and that affects the levers of the human mind. You don't have to customize it. A pitch should start with conflict, not niceness. When you begin with high stakes and conflict, people pay attention immediately and they know there's something to win here and there's something to lose. So ultimately, that's the job of the pitch, right? One is to not communicate, I'm a salesperson with some features and a price that you own, but to say, I'm a peer and I know the business we're in, but I know a specific part of it that is very valuable to you. And if we continue our relationship, you can take advantage of my knowledge and my products. That's what you're sub-communicating in the pitch. So again, we start with raising the stakes, then we go with a big idea, right? And you provide insight. So that insight will then help people respect you as a peer, especially if you take their knowledge further, build you up as an expert, raise your status, and make them want to hear everything else that you have to say. Those are the two things that everybody screws up because they just dive into, this is the facts about our business, these are the features, these are the benefits, this is the price. So I think that's the key to starting. you have to know how to run a meeting on a clear agenda, right? What you want to do today, I feel like, with a Zoom meeting, and this is what we're doing differently, is we're letting people know how that meeting is going to be run to set their expectation. Listen, and Ken, you start right on time. Does anybody need fluids in or out? If not, let's go. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to run you through a shortened version of our pitch. What it is, the big idea, the solution, the problem, the ROI, what we think the timeline is, and what we might or might not do with each other. That's going to take 12, 13 minutes. Then we're going to give you 5 minutes to put in context what you're doing in your problem and see if our circles overlap. If they do, we'll spend 2 or 3 minutes figuring out next steps. All right, that's going to take 20 minutes start to finish. If we need more time, we'll adjust the clock a little bit. Ready? Let's go. Now that says this is going to be a professionally run meeting, and it calms people down that they're not on one of these wild Zoom meetings that they don't know how long it's going to be, how it's going to run, what the agenda is. And so they don't need an agenda, they need structure. So that's different. Here's the structure of this meeting. We're going to go first. We're going to tell you what we have. Then we're going to give you some time, right? Then you're going to tell us a little bit about your problem and how you feel, our solution fits. We're going to try and find a go forward path. If that works, we'll set up a next meeting. That's the structure. You give the pitch in a structured way in less than 20 minutes that covers everything the buyer needs to know in a narrative format. At the end, your status, you went from who is this guy to whoa, I love the value proposition. I love the return on investment. I love the ideas. I love the narrative format. I understand that. I wish we could tell our own story in that way. And then you go, as we said earlier, so you can see what we have, why we're busy. When you structure a pitch correctly, you don't need to be motivated. You don't need to be up. You don't need to have high emotion. You don't need to have willpower. It's just the structure that works. This is the only little thing that touches on motivation, is you have to understand your own self, the value you bring the equation.
You are there, I believe, to trigger a few things. One is, to the buyer, you're in the hands of a professional who knows what he's doing. The way to signal that is a nice, tight 15, 18, 14, 17-minute presentation that covers what's changing, the big idea, what the problem is in the world, how you can get the benefits that we deliver other ways, what our solution is, how our solution works, the value proposition, who our team is, what the ROI is, what's our guarantee, and what's our timeline for working with you, and maybe a demo. That's it. And if you can squeeze all of that in 14, 17, 19, 20 minutes, they go, I'm in the hands of a professional who knows what he's doing. He's giving us the information we need and none of what we don't need, and he's doing it fast, jamming it together in a way that we can understand.
That's the core of the pitch. If you can't do that in 15, 20 minutes, I would say you're hosed. Do deals get done by people who can't do that in 15 minutes? Yes, but at what price? Tattoo this on your arm if you care about this stuff. Attention equals convincing power. To the degree somebody's paying attention to you, you can continue to deliver them logic and information and build your case. So I believe if you would spend 3 hours with me and somebody forced you to listen, I could sell you anything. But the problem is nobody on the other side, the buyer will not spend 3 hours paying attention. They have other stuff to do, and it's beyond the span of human limits to pay attention for that long. So you've got about 20 minutes of real attention if you're lucky, right? So while somebody's paying attention to you, you can be convincing. When they're not paying attention to you, you have no convincing power. All the information, all the arguments, all the ideas, all the compelling rationale, all the narrative that I want to give you, right? Even if, no matter how great it is, if you're not paying attention, falls on, deaf ears. And so you need somebody paying attention to you in order to be convincing.
From the time you walk in the door and say, "Hail fellow, well met," you have 20 minutes to pitch your concept. And after that, you may be selling for days or weeks or months. All got to be compressed into 20 minutes. So you give ultimately that pitch on your product and your value proposition and yourself in that very compressed time period. And then you can relax and spend your time selling. But pitch the deal so it lands hard and is understood, and you have refined all these complex concepts into this 1 20-minute block of time where you have attention.
because at minute 21, entropy sets in, and I promise you, you do not have attention of the people in front of you at anything near the intensity or scope or scale that you had it in the first 20 minutes. What your aim is to give a pitch is to hold somebody's attention. The minute that they can pattern match or predict what you're going to say, or they feel like they've seen this presentation before, boom, they're done, right? And they're not going to listen to anything else you say. The human mind is all about finding patterns. We are pattern-making machine. And so when you're talking, when I'm talking right now, you're trying to figure out what is he going to say next. If you think about the movie The Matrix, right? First time you saw that, you're like, what is going on here? This is not a Disney movie. It is not a Pixar movie. It is not a thriller. It is not a drama with Al Pacino. I don't know what the fuck is going on right now, and I'm paying attention, right? Because it's interesting. It's new. It's novel. It's exciting. And I have not seen this before, but I'm interested, okay? So that is the elements of a great pitch, is that it is new, it is novel, it is interesting, there are high stakes, it is economic in nature, I could get some benefits, but I don't know the outcome, and I have to pay attention to get the things that I think I might get from listening to you. That is what makes a pitch great. Any deal in America can be pitched in 20 minutes or less. It's just choosing the correct framework and what information to leave in and what information to leave out. People over supply information in the pitch. Framing is I choose what window you look through to see my universe, right? Because if I just give you facts and information, references and things, it's a huge window and it's almost too much to see. So when I frame it up for you, I choose the perspective that you see, and I occlude things that I don't want you to see, and I do that for you as a favor. So we're providing a frame to the potential buyer so he doesn't have that same experience of getting too much information, too much detail, seeing too many competitors, too many products, too many options, too many suites, and it's overwhelming. The span of human attention is probably 20 minutes. In many cases, it's 3 or 4 minutes. So when you don't frame something for somebody, you're giving them a lot of variables, and a lot of information and variables consumes attention. When you think about a difficult problem, it burns you out, right? Thinking uses up brain power, uses up attention. So when you give people too many details, too much information, it burns up their attention, and now you don't have much time to sell them, right? So when you frame something and give people a few variables that are understandable, variables that you control, in a narrative that makes sense, then it's very beautiful and warm and comfortable and understandable, and comes information at the pace that humans can accept it. And now people don't get burnt out, and they'll pay you enough attention, you can get your whole story out.
Then you relate to them. This is how we got here, and this is my understanding of the situation, and this is how I view the kind of problem you're having. Give me a few more details, and let's try and get somewhere. Frame out a box to at least say you have this kind of problem and solutions exist that we know about and would like to help you with.
The biggest mistake people make in a sale is trying to sell with information. That's what your product does and the features. The more you tell people about your product, the less they buy. So what do you tell them instead? Well, you show them how familiar you are with their problem. Show them how familiar you are with their problem. You do that, they believe in you, and then they buy. Information doesn't sell. Expertise in a particular kind of problem, that's why people buy.
All the information they need is obviously on the internet, right? And so you're not there to deliver information. If you're going to a meeting to deliver information that is either known or available on the internet, cancel the meeting and send them a FedEx package. That costs $18, right? Doesn't take you a half day or a day of travel.
So information leads to price discussion.
Yeah.
Price discussion leads to end of meeting because I want to go compare the price somewhere else. It's a 3-minute meeting. You start with features and benefits. You're going to end with, you're going to immediately go into price. And from price, they want to end the meeting and you're going into a trial close, right? So you're going into a, hey, do you think you'd want it? They're like, no, what I want to do is leave this room, right, and go on my laptop and find where I can get this cheaper.
Yeah.
So that's a problem with starting with features and benefits.
If you came here to my office and we sat down and I went through your pitch, your presentation, whatever it is, 80% of it, 90% of it, I might throw out. There should be a very little bit of talking, and the things you say should be meaningful and create action. Most of the stuff you have doesn't belong in your pitch. I'm not saying it doesn't belong somewhere else in your social media, in your story, in your narrative, in your follow-up, in your videos. I don't know, but not in the pitch. So if your presentation, your pitch, your mannerisms, who you are, seems overly familiar, the crocodile brain says, we don't have to deal with this. Set it to the side. I'm not going to send up the neocortex to solve this. It's not novel and it's not dangerous, and I'm going to ignore it.
Right.
Because, and in the final analysis, the brain is a cognitive miser. It uses a huge amount of energy to solve problems. So what the crocodile brain, it tries to filter out information that's not new and not dangerous. So if you're not new and you're not dangerous, you get ignored. These are the things that I lived through. Going into meetings and supplicating to the buyer, waiting for business to happen, sending emails, hey, just checking in, doing a pitch, and then saying, so what do you think, guys? Are you interested? Can I answer any questions? Until you're perceived as somebody who is busy, has momentum in their own business, is not needy in any way for this transaction, and is offering a opportunity, they will continue to negotiate and chip away at your deal until they feel like they're in the supermajority position.
Neediness kills deals. Yeah. So when you're cloistering, when you are approaching, when you are in somebody's face, when you are asking 7 times for the sale, when you are constantly present, when you are there and asking, and constantly approaching, it triggers avoidance behavior because it's neediness, right? So that's on one side. Now, on the other side, you have to control people, right? So you can't just make them a pitch and then walk away and hope they ask to buy it, right? So somewhere in between giving a pitch and walking away and being too needy and too cloistering and too approaching is a gray area in which you have control. If you don't have intrigue, if you don't talk about problems, if you don't frame yourself as an expert, and if you don't have story-like narratives, then all you have is the features of the product, the benefits of the product, and the price. The rapport only makes you feel good. It burns really valuable minutes. It can feel needy if you're not good at it, and it accomplishes almost nothing.
You are unsure of your position in the dominance hierarchy, and what you are doing is validation-seeking behavior to try and find out where you are in the layer cake of society on this call, in this presentation. Basically, it's you looking for a safe space to deliver the information you have. And until you feel safe that you're somewhere that you understand and recognize in the social layer cake, you're afraid to start delivering your information. That's what's going on inside of you, and that's why it is genetically programmed. It's validation-seeking behavior, looking for a safe space in order to deliver your information. That's why you do it naturally. Everybody does it naturally.
And you may have a great value proposition, a great pitch, a great product, but when you say, thank you for allowing me to fly from San Diego to London to come and prepare for a week to come tell you about our product, and we hope that you choose us, right? And if you do choose us, and by the way, we have some great discounts to show you, right? We have some great discount program, and the price is negotiable. We're really easy to work with. Your first order will bend over backwards just to get you. This is the low status position, right? So you're breaking all the rules. You're not moving away. You're chasing him. Right. So people want what they can't have, but they can have you. All they have to do is say, yeah, I like you. Let's do the investment. So you're breaking that first rule. People chase that which moves away from them, but you're moving towards them. You're the salesman or a car lot. So you're coming at them, right? So you're breaking that rule. People chase that which moves away from them, and people only value that which they pay for. And you're saying, I can give you free terms. We can lower the price. So if you think about back to ancient times, if I come up to you and I'm in needy, you don't want to be associated with me because that's weakness. If I need anything from you, you have such scarce resources, you have nothing to give me. So I become your enemy and you want me to go away. That's why neediness is repulsive, because it comes from a time when we didn't have abundance. So the low social position coming through neediness causes the crocodile brain and the midbrain just to go insane.
So at the beginning, that might be the one or two times I swear. So let me tell you what the fuck is going on here, right? And they go, nobody who is needy, nobody who's chasing a deal, nobody who is begging for our business talks like that, acts like that, behaves like that. I'll tell you who acts like that,
People
right?
don't need you.
People are busy. People are coming to this meeting as a favor to someone. People are coming to this meeting to allow us, to earn an opportunity. But a needy, cloistering, newbie sales guy does not start a meeting like that.
Companies that are honest, that have good products, that have good entrepreneurs, that have good management, that care about the environment and care about how they deploy technology and take their business seriously and are motivated, that's rare. So if that's you, you're the prize. Money needs to seek you out. Okay, let's say you sell ball bearings. You're the best ball bearing salesman. You understand how these things work. If they buy from you, you know this product better than anyone else. You're going to help them be successful with it. If they don't buy it from you, they're probably getting an inferior product from China. They're certainly not going to benefit from all your engineering background, right? You're the prize that the customer has to win.
Amazing human beings with great deals are a rarity. Capital is an absolute available commodity. So once you understand this framing, you will not then pitch to the money as if they're the prize to be won, but you will let the money know you're the prize. And if they behave correctly, and if they act in accordance with your rules, and they show the appropriate amount of respect and attention, then you will let them continue to work with you and possibly get in the deal. Now, that sounds bold, and I say it in a bold way. And because I've been doing this for years and showing large companies how to do this, I, in fact, can walk in a room and say, listen up, I have a very short amount of time. We're going to talk for 20 minutes about my deal. Hold your thoughts. I don't want to hear about your firm right now. I'll tell you about our firm. When I'm done, I'll give you some time to tell me about yourselves. If we mutually, and certainly if we believe that there's points of overlap, we can continue the conversation and we can find ways that you could become involved with us. We're very busy. We're choosy who we work with. And this is a great way for us to find out how much you know about this and if we'd like to work with you. Now, that's the framework. How hard or soft or slowly or poetically or crisply you want to say that is your own choice. But that's the correct framing so the buyer doesn't feel like, or the investor feels like he has all the power and is going to make you, do all kinds of things you don't want to do, right? And what are the things you don't want to do? You don't want to discount. You don't want to give free trials. You don't want to do lockup periods. You don't want to have unnecessary due diligence. You don't want to answer a million technical questions. You don't want to expose your intellectual property, until there's a deal forming. And so doing it in this way prevents you from discounting free trials, exposing intellectual property, submitting proposals, waiting, not having control of the time frame, waiting for people to respond. So it's prizing who's the prize and who needs to earn their way into the deal when you reverse it. But I can assure you, if you don't have a massively great pitch in a narrative format that's short and incredible, you won't be able to put pressure on people to pitch themselves back to you. Very important and powerful.
Low stakes means nothing is going to be decided on this call. If the buyer is listening to you sell, but there's no consequences to saying maybe, then you're on a low stakes call. The stakes have to be high. How do you do that? So easy. Hey, listen, today we're going to figure out, maybe in the next 10 or 15 minutes, if we're going to move forward to the second step of working with me, or if you're going to go use one of the other companies, right? That's high stakes. A decision will be made. If it's low stakes, no consequences, nothing's going to be decided, it's a huge mistake.
Raise the stakes. If somebody believes there is low stakes at this pitch, at this meeting, at this interaction, it is going to end like this. Hey, this looks great. Love this. Love what you guys presented. Something we're really interested in looking at. Send me the deck. I'll talk to my committee, my partner, my wife. We'll take a look at it. If we have any additional questions, we'll get back to you in the next week. That requires no training all buyers, all investors say that unless there are stakes. So raise the stakes. When the SEALs see a threat, they close distance, shut it down. So very early on in the meeting, if you hear people say, well, we're excited to meet you, but, you got to sharpen your pencil, you got to have a green eye shade, you got to get the pricing right. If pricing is your concern, call me a cab, because I'm out. That's not what we do. You don't say, well, I'll deal with that when we get to the pricing section. Right, you have to, when you see that kind of threat, you close it, you close distance on it, and shut it down. Because people, they like to do that, very early on. Things like, oh, well, we already have a big supplier, but we decided to spend a few minutes with you today. If you're dedicated to your supplier, call me a cab. I'm busy. We got customers ready to roll.
People are coming to Zoom meetings today. This is the thing to write down. The stakes are low. Hey, I'm coming to the meeting. I'm going to hear what the company is suggesting, whether it's a sales call, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a logistics call. I'm going to think about it. All kinds of emails are going to go out, and it's basically low stakes situation. What you want to do is raise the stakes. Something is happening here for real, okay? I'm investing my time for a reason. There is going to be an outcome of this meeting. In a sales meeting, the outcome is I'm either going to help you solve your problem or you're going to go fuck yourself. Right? I mean, not exactly, but, look, I don't have your problems. We came to the sales call because you have a problem. Not because I don't have the problem. We're doing fine. You have the problem, right? I fix this problem all day long. I've solved your specific problem. All 19 things that you need done, I do that. I've done it 1,000 times. This is like I press a that was easy button and all your problems get fixed. But I don't know if I'm willing to press the that was easy button for you.
Most buyers don't understand that the call or the meeting we're on, something is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, they get to the end of the session and they go, super interesting. I'm really excited. Send me over a proposal. Take a look at it with my committee. We'll get back to you when we have some additional questions. We're looking at all of our options. Okay. They don't understand that ain't going to happen on this call. Stakes have to be raised. And when you say, Jake, listen, seriously, go fuck yourself. We're not doing that. That has meaning and it raises the stakes. So when you go at the end of the meeting, see, at the end of the meeting, you cannot get anything done. And that's where people will want to do everything. Mm-hmm. So what I decided very intentionally is at the end of the meeting is where I'm not going to do anything, because nothing you do at the end of the meeting will have a effect on the sale.
Yeah. The attitude doesn't have to be as bad as mine. I work with venture capitalists and private equity guys who are mean to the companies I represent. So I'm mean back.
Right. Okay. And they can probably take it.
They can take it.
Or probably enjoy
it.
it.
Don't have to treat people like this. And sometimes the fewer options I have, the nicer I get, as you can imagine. You don't have to be sort of come out of the gate this vindictive or acrimonious or aggressive. You can do this very nicely.
Big mistake people make when they're trying to sell anything is setting the buyer up as the decision maker. I know what you're thinking. Well, he is the decision maker. He's the buyer. By definition, that's what he does. He decides to buy the product. That's completely wrong. You are the decision maker. You're deciding whether you're going to choose to work with the buyer. When you can figure out how to do that, everything will start going right for you. But take it at this. If you establish, set up, or admit to the buyer or give him the power to be the decision maker, you're making a giant mistake.
You cannot pitch and you cannot close from the beta position. Until they perceive you as a peer, you're not closing that deal at anything near numbers that would be fair to you. Nobody closes a parity deal with lots of margin in it with somebody they believe they have power over. When somebody else feels powerful over you, there is a physiological response in them in which they do the following three things. They view you as transactional. How much can I get from you without investing anything? Second is they view you only at a surface level. They don't care about your family. They're not interested that you surf or play racquetball or a squash champion. They don't care that you have a value system or ethics. They just view you at a surface level. And that rolls into the third and most significant thing in the way people view you is that they take risks around you they would not take around their peers. Well, that means they would take phone calls, check their phone, ask you for incredibly insensitive gives try and reduce pricing, try and get you to give away what you have. So that's what people who feel powerful do physiologically. Getting this alpha position and controlling people and getting them to see things from your perspective. You've got to put them in some emotional state in which they are in a situation that they're unaccustomed. They want something, they're excited about something, and they're in an emotional state in which they're unaccustomed to being in. So if you want to move somebody emotionally, you show them that their values are out of phase with what I would call the moral center. Values are where you can get somebody emotional without trying to be right or wrong. Yeah. Status is key. When you come in as the salesperson or when you come in as the interviewee looking for a job, and you occupy the low status position, you can see this happening in front of your eyes in any presentation. Somebody's selling you something, you selling something. When they feel powerful and they feel like you are not powerful, low status, you put yourself in that position. Thank you, please, I appreciate it, no problem, starting late, whatever works for you. No, I don't need any water. I'm a camel. Sorry, I'm late.
I don't want anything, just put me outside if you want, in the sun. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm late. I couldn't find parking. Really, asshole, you're interviewing for a $250,000 CTO job and you couldn't come 5 minutes early and find parking anyway. So status lowering behavior that you inflict on yourself, because believe me, people will do status lowering to you, right? And you have to get control over that, which I assume we'll talk over in a minute. They'll do it to you. Don't do it to yourself. Thank you, please, sorry. Right? This is the problem: is companies have good products. They're proud of their products. They just take the low status position when going in and pitching to a client because they want to be nice. Pitching from the low status position means that people aren't paying attention to you. Rather than understanding what status you have, build status up. There's 3 sources of status, 4, but 3 real sources: wealth, power, celebrity. You don't have any of those. Neither do I. I have some wealth, I have some celebrity, I have some power, but in most of the meetings I go to, billionaires, $7 billion funds, Mark Cuban, guys with $100 million, whatever. They're like, who the fuck are you again? So we have to build local status, local star power, all right? So we're going to build our status from scratch. I have to do that every meeting. How do we do that? The main tool is prizing ourselves, saying, I'm the prize that you're going to win. So let's go back in. Time constraint. Number 2 is professionally understanding, giving a sense to the guys listening that they're in the hands of a professional, that you have a narrative, that you have an agenda, you have a time constraint, and you understand the process by which buyers buy. So you got to give the information fast, novel, in a narrative format. Then you have to do it from the high social status position so people pay attention.
That's the next.
The better your pitch is, the higher your status goes. If you pitch in the way that buyers wish they could pitch their own deal, they admire you. They go, fuck, this guy's amazing. We wish we had this guy doing this for us. We can't explain ourselves that well.
Yeah. What happens is folks in a room, folks on a Skype, folks on a phone call, if they perceive a large status gap between you and them, they functionally are not able to listen to the ideas you have, all right? In the same way that if you're a bum walks into your office, right, and starts telling you the greatest ideas in the world, you can't listen to those ideas because of the social status, or a valet guy, or I don't want to insult people. The garbage guy comes in and he starts telling you about quantum physics and the hyperloop and solar energy efficiency. You literally, because of the status of that individual, can't accept that information. All right. The CEO of your company comes down, he starts talking about hyperloop, energy efficiency, quantum physics, and even though these things are far off and seem impossible, you listen because of the status. So the status imbalance is the problem, and you're feeding the status imbalance as you start doing this validation seeking behavior, right? And so there's words that trigger status imbalance and make it wider. Sorry, thank you, I can wait. I can wait if you have more people to come. Do you have any questions before I get started? Those things all continue to lower your status, right? And create the status imbalance higher and making it more difficult for them to listen to your ideas. You know, in today's society, what I really want is the contract or the $5 million or the agreement or the sale to go to somebody who's high functioning, who's prepared, who knows the background on us, knows our names, has come on time, gets a meeting started on time, has his presentation prepared, knows how to open, has humor, humility, but also the strength of a presentation. That's what I'm looking for from the person, not somebody to say, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for taking this meeting, a supplicant.
It's something new and intriguing and novel, and you take it away. That's what people will pay for.
Hey, if I'm willing to walk away from this from you as much as I want it, after expressing that I want it, if I'm willing to walk away within 5 minutes of starting the pitch, well, what will happen if you are high friction and difficult to deal with at the end? You've already seen my willingness to walk away. You know, wanting the deal but not needing it is the ultimate in alpha beta frame control.
The moment somebody says, I'm in, if you say great, the next thing they're going to say is, wait a second, right? Well, did I not negotiate hard enough?
And they're mentally done, or they're mentally done. Yeah.
Yes. When somebody says, I'm in,
Are you really
do
in?
not say great. You have to push them away a little bit and create some space. Then they will rush into that space to fill it. So when you do all this stuff correctly, at the end or towards the end, they go, sounds great. How do we get started? That's when you know you've pitched correctly. Until you see it happen, they say, I'm in, right? The answer to that is, I understand you're in. Everybody's in. This is today, if you look at the market, is the best deal on the market. I'm the best sponsor, right? And we have the most certainty for returns, right? I understand you're in. Let me try and get you in, which is going to take me some work, okay? I still have to get you through credit. I still have to get you through diligence. I still have to get my broker dealer to sign off on you, right? It's going to take me some work to fully get you in. Let's do this together and we'll go make it happen. But I'm not going to work harder than you will for your own portfolio. I won't do it for you, but I'll do it with you. Sound good? Sound good? Go.
These Kevlar coated ball bearings, they're amazing. Like, we can't make enough of them. We're shipping them from the factory like crazy. I barely had enough time to come here today to meet you. If you said to me, Oren, I'll take 10 crates. Here's a purchase order. I'd have to give it back to you and rip your check up. I can't take an order from you right now. I don't know anything about you, right? We need to know what kind of customer you are, what your credit is, how much you order, what your reorder rate is. And frankly, I'm just trying to work with people who are good to work with, allow me to hold my margin, and are nice and fun. Because we're busy, and we don't have to choose shitty customers. I know you're probably a great guy and probably an amazing customer, but I don't know enough about you. Why don't you spend a few minutes in context of the ball bearings that we have and tell me about your business and how you are as a customer.
Okay.
And let's figure out if there's some overlap between what your needs are and what we have.
The moment you say you can have it, I am not investigating you. I'm waiting for your yes. They will disappear and look for it cheaper. So the way to follow up is at the end of the meeting to say, you can't have it. I mean, and that's crazy. You know, how can you go pitch yourself or a deal or a product or a service, right? And be passionate about it, pitch it and put all the things in the right place and show the ROI and the problem you solve and all your logos and how the traction and how good you are. And then at the end say, but you can't have it. The problem is you have to say that. Basic script for that is, I like you, Brett. I think we could work well together. I don't know enough about you at the moment.
Yeah.
To say, here's exactly what we're going to do together. I think we're good, right? But I'm, as much as you're doing due diligence, what you have to do, I have to continue doing due diligence on you. Why don't we say, look, in the next 2 weeks, here's the plan, okay?
Yeah,
This would be the follow-up call. This would be the preliminary decision. This will be the LOI, and this will be our signature date, okay? Does that make sense?
To the degree you don't do this, your deals or your sales will get worse. This is what client control is about. If they're not chasing you saying, when could I have it? I understand we're not going to ask for a discount, and sort of asking you questions about having it. If you don't get to that point, you don't have client control, and you're going to end up discounting. You're going to end up submitting proposals. You're going to end up doing all the things we as salespeople, or you'll lose a client, or maybe you'll get it, but it's not good margin business, or it's a hassle, or they know they have control over you. You don't want any of that. If you want, rack rate, price sheet pricing, you don't want to drop your valuation. You want a firm timeline, you want commitments, and you don't want to have to submit a proposal, and you want a firm answer, and you want a signed contract, and you want a signed term sheet. If you want all that stuff, you need client control. When we determine that they're not right for us, we throw ourselves out, right? I mean, I think that's the difference. We don't get thrown out. We don't wait for that. I throw myself out. If I find the investor is a kind of guy that doesn't have credibility of closing without changing terms or changing price, why do I want to put myself through that? We just say, you're out of the process. We're going to go forward with someone else. True frame control, in which other people have to react to what you're doing, is when you have the best set of values in the deal. And then you control everything, no matter how many billions of dollars they're bringing to the table, because you're not needy. One of the core values is, I will show up on time, I will work hard, we'll bring everything we're supposed to be, we'll prepare, we'll invest ourselves, but we will not work harder than you will on your deal, right? We will invest a certain amount of time in order to try and get to a transaction. If we can't visibly see you contributing or a transaction happening, we're out. Another set that goes in value is, we like this deal. We like you, David. We love what's going on here. Like, we're probably overinvest in this, but it has to fit in our business model. You can ask us to do almost everything, but we won't be bad business people. So we have to, it has to be fair to us. It has to be a timeline that makes sense for our business, right? And the agreements have to happen on a pace that every other real estate deal happens on, because we're busy. And that's where I've arrived at. We are busy.